Hi Year 10, this is your Fusion 360 tutorial to create a laser cutting file to manufacture your laser cut chess pieces. You can see on your screen, this is a version that we have already manufactured at school. We're going to be using the material of acrylic. It is a plastic that we can easily cut in the laser cutter to create your chess pieces. You will have a choice of color, but you will need to follow this tutorial for the correct measurements of your pieces and the concept of this slotting method that you see. So as you can see, the acrylic it's only about 3 millimeters thick. The sheets vary ever so slightly. So we need to create this slot method that you can see on the screen, that the two pieces then, when rotated at opposite angles, will slot and fit together. Because the great thing about CAD is that you can replicate and easily copy and paste your files, you only need to create your 6 pieces in Fusion, and then we can copy and paste to get the correct amount of chess pieces. So let's get started. We're going to jump into Fusion 360 and you're going to create a new design. We're going to save our work right from the start and we're going to call this our save. Okay, we are going to be working in the 2D space today and we're only going to stay in that one sketch. Okay, we want all of our work to just be in one single sketch. So I'm going to go to I've turned on my origin eye so I can see my planes. I'm going to say create sketch and I'm going to select my XY plane so I'm looking down at a bird's eye view. I'm now going to turn my eye off, so I've just got my clean screen in front of me. The way we're going to start is we're going to map out the piece of acrylic that we're going to use to cut each piece before we begin. So we're going to start with our pawns. We're going to start with our simplest pieces and then create more complex pieces. So our pawns are going to be no more than 30 by 30 big. Okay, now this is because actually, I retract. They have to be 30 millimeters wide. Depending on your design, you could go up to 50 millimeters. Okay, that is the entire space that you have to create your pawn. You are going to be using your chess piece design. So you're not going to exactly follow what I'm doing. You're going to apply your own design to this tutorial. You need to really learn from me the slot method and just make sure that you're using, you learn how to use the trim technique. Okay, so draw yourself your initial piece of acrylic that you're going to cut your pawn out from. The maximum dimensions for your pawns are 50 by 30. No piece can be any wider than 30 millimeters because otherwise it won't fit on the chessboard. Okay, I'm going to begin by, I actually only want mine to be 30, so that's why I'll go back here. And I'm going to, the very first thing I'm going to do is I don't want to have these really sharp corners. I want to have soft corners. So I'm going to put on a 3-point arc. I am now able to click on the edge and then the top of my shape. So it's 2 clicks and then I pull out the radius that I would like. And that is perfect. I'll do the same on the other side. And it usually sort of sticks to the same, like the same angle that I would have created on my first arc. Then I could use my keyboard shortcut, T for trim, or you can actually come up to your modify menu and get the scissors. And I'm now going to trim off the exterior edges there. So I've got a nice round little shape. Now the next step that I have to do is put in my slot. So I'm going to go into my create menu. I'm going to go into my center point rectangle because that, remember, when I hover over the middle of my piece, it gives me that blue triangle. Once I have my blue triangle, I can click and drag, and this is going to allow me to create my rectangle. Now, if I made my piece my overall size of the first square I drew was 30 millimeters. So you want to halve whatever measurement you put in. So if you put in 50, 25. I put in 30, so 15 is my measurement here, except we're doing a center point rectangle, so I do need to put in that 30 millimeters. Sorry, that was confusing. Okay, so I have input my 30 mil, and now I need to put in my overall dimension, and we're going to put in 2.85. We're not putting in 3 millimeters because we want to have a tolerance fit of our pieces. We're going to aim to not use any glue, which means that I want to make my slot slightly smaller than my material thickness so that they can wedge together and grip on without glue. Okay, so that is my very first piece almost created. I just now need to trim off all of my lines. Make sure you zoom in and you take away even these little construction lines. They all need to go. So you should be left with that single piece of your pawn. That is the first half of your pawn. Okay. Now I've still got trim selected, so I need to press escape on my keyboard so that I could now just select my entire, if I click and drag on just on the exterior of my shape, I want to select all of my lines. And if I right click on my mouse, a menu comes up. So I right click and I want to say move or copy. This little window will pop up and I want to, what do I want to do in here? I want to create a copy. So make sure you get that whole menu. So I've created a copy, and then when I select and drag over to the side, I will be able to grab my shape and move it. I want to keep a really small distance here because we're going to cut these out of one piece of acrylic, and so we don't want to have big gaps. It's called nesting. I'm now also going to go ahead and rotate my shape 180 degrees and press enter, because you'll see this is the final shape that will slot together. If you imagine that these two shapes are going to slot together, that is what we're going to need to create in order to make our pieces here. So once we have both of these pieces, then they will slot together and they will actually make our pawns here. Okay, so you can see that the other thing I have to do here is my arcs are now on the wrong side. So I'm going to come into my create menu, I'm going to say arc, and I'm going to just quickly pop that in. I want to zoom out slightly. Arc. Excellent. Take a trim, take away there. Now I don't want to have my arcs on the bottom here. You may decide that you want to, but I don't. So I'm going to get rid of those, and then I'm just going to pop in some more straight lines. And you can see when I've deleted away from my shape that it wasn't highlighted blue, and when I know all my lines are connected again, it goes into this blue shade. Okay, so that is really key. You need all of your final shapes to have blue shade on them. Okay, so that is my pawn already drawn. I'm going to come back and I'm going to have a look at what my castle looks like. Brilliant. So then popping back into Fusion, let me get started. Okay, so I'm going to always start with a rectangle, and I'm going to come nice and close to my other shape, click and drag out. Okay, 30 millimeters is our width, and my height for my castle is, I'm going to just want them to be slightly bigger than my pawn. So once again, my pawn was 30, so maybe I want my castle to be 50. If your pawn was 50 high, you're going to want your castle to be at least 55. Okay, brilliant. And then the design I had in mind was just a cutout. So I've selected my circles. I'm having a circle cut out. I'm first of all finding the middle of my castle. I'm going to track down in the middle, and then I'm going to draw out what kind of circle I think will look good. And I'm going to think it's only about 17 millimeters. Enter. Brilliant. That is what I want that to look like. Once again, I'm going to come in with my arc tool, and I want to take off just those sharp corners. This is optional, you don't have to do it, it's up to you. T for trim, get rid of those. Oops, dear, I trimmed too much, but that's okay. I can just go in and get my line tool and redraw that and see how it's shaded blue again, so I know I'm good to go. Okay, now I need to make my slot. So I'm going to firstly grab my center point rectangle. I'm going to come along the base of my castle till I get my blue triangle. Now I'm going to come up and it's going to be the same height as my castle because I'm doing a center point rectangle. So I'm going to do 50. Oopsie days, I'm in the wrong one. I'm going to do 50 by 2.85. Now we need to trim away all of this extra lines here. So I want to get rid of the sides and I want to get rid of these construction lines as well. I want to zoom in and I want to get rid of that middle slot. And then there's one line down here. Awesome. That's really important that you delete all of those lines away and you're just left with a really clean shape. Okay. So I don't have to delete, because of these, my circle that I put in the middle here isn't actually intersecting. If I went and tried to trim out my circle so that it looks like it's white, like my slot, it will just delete my circle. It's because the lines aren't intersecting. So I can just leave that there. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to grab I'm going to highlight one little side of my pawn here, and that's the side that you see if you put arcs on. I want to make sure I'm grabbing the one that has got corners at the base. So I'm going to then right click, move or copy. With my menu comes up, my move copy menu comes up. I'm going to say create a copy, and I want to move it off to the side. But remember, we don't want too much of a gap. We want them to be nice and snug together. Press OK. Now, I just need to extend this rectangle off. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go T for trim, keyboard shortcut, and I'm going to just quickly delete that one. I'm getting at my line tool, and I'm just going to make that back to a solid shape here. So I need to put the same slot in. So I'm then going to grab my center rectangle. I'm going to come across the top until I have a triangle. And I'm going to put in the exact same measurements that I did for my castle. So it will be 2.85 wide and then 50 tall on top. Okay, now I need to make sure I trim off all of these lines. So starting from the top, the side line, there's construction lines, they've all got to go. And we get rid of those. Excellent. Okay, so now I've got my wedge piece for my castle. Excellent. Okay, my next piece that I've got to create is my knight. So that is this sort of L shape. I'm going to flip the L shape so that the top of the L is up high. So, rectangle, starting from a corner, that's nice and close. Now my castle was 50, so I might just make my knight, say 55, just a little, oh gosh, whoops, that's the wrong one, 30 wide, 55 high. So it's only just a little bit taller than my castle. Okay, I'm going to get my line tool, and this one was sort of like an L shape, so I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to actually make it that sort of shape. T for trim, I'm going to get rid of that part. Okay, so that is going to be my knight. Once again, center point rectangle. I'm going to come across the base until I get my little blue triangle. I'm going to input my 2.85 width, and then my height is the same as the height because it's the center rectangle, so it's 55. Enter. And now I've got to just trim. So you can see that this is quite repetitive. If you think you've got the concept now of how you're going to do this, you can stop watching the tutorial and just create your pieces in Fusion. Or you're more than welcome to keep watching and have and keep creating your pieces as I am. Okay, one thing I forgot to do, I didn't put my arcs in here. I quite like my arcs to take off those corners, so I'm going to keep doing that. Now, I'm just going to pop them all in, and I'll even put it on the face there. I just think it looks quite nice to take away those sharp corners. You might not. It is your design. Cool. Nice. Lovely. Okay, so I need the opposite piece here again. So I'm going to do the exact same thing again. I'm going to draw a little barrier. Oh my gosh. Okay, what I did there is I didn't escape from my trim tool was selected and I didn't press escape to deactivate the tool. So I thought I wanted to trim everything. Now I'm just going to draw my little banner, making sure I get all the parts of my slot piece. And I'm going to right click. I'm going to say move or copy. My menu comes up. I say create copy. I drag it off to the side. I don't want to keep very much. I don't want to have a big space there. I want to nest them. Okay, and then I say okay. Once again, I'm going to get my line tool. I'm going to create that line so it's solid again. I'm going to trim away this slot so I can put in my own slot. Not the rectangle, the center rectangle tool. Come across the middle. It is 2.85 tab. This one was 55. Enter. You can see that this will probably be the last one that I do, copying and pasting across, because this is getting really fragile down here. So I'm going to have to make a new slightly taller piece for my base. D for trim. Get rid of all these lines, including the construction lines. They all need to go. Awesome. Okay, so I've made 3 pieces, 3 to go. I'm going to come in here. Okay, so my bishop is this triangle. Okay. Start with a rectangle, always starting with the same process. Click and drag. Okay, 30 is my width. Then my height here could be, if my last piece was 55, I'm going to go 60. Okay, I'm going to get my line tool. I'm going to come across to the center, click, and then down to each side. Paper trim, goodbye. Excellent. And now I might actually hold, if I come back to my very first piece, that was 15. So I'm going to press escape. I'm going to come back to my very, very first slot piece over for my pawn. I'm going to select that one. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say copy. My menu didn't come up. Move or copy. Create copy. I'm going to drag this one all the way out to the side here. Okay. Awesome. And then I'm going to follow the same process and fill that in. Take the trim, get rid of that. On this one, maybe I actually think that I will want to make it a bit more triangular as well, but not all the way. Maybe to the sides of my arc, maybe one in. Because maybe I'm thinking this piece would look a little bit silly if it wasn't also on a bit of an angle like my bishop. Get rid of all these lines. Cool. Now I'm going to get my slot again, center point rectangle, find the middle of my line. Okay. And this one, I'm going to just start doing them about 20 mil, I reckon. So I'm going to do 2.85 as my width for my slot. And then this one, I'm going to do 40, because that means I'll have 20 mil here, 2 centimeters, that's pretty good. D for trim. Get rid of all the lines. Awesome. Same thing in my triangle now. Center point rectangle. I'm going to find the middle. Okay, my width is going to be 2.5. My height is 40. Enter. D for trim. Get rid of all of these lines. Need to zoom in. Even that one. Cool. Now, that is looking good. How am I going? 2 pieces to go. Let's have a look. Cool, my king. This one I'm going to do slightly differently. Same with my queen because they're symmetrical, but they're more complex. So I'm going to come into Fusion. First thing I'm going to do is draw my square as per usual. Okay, so it's 30 wide. And this one is going to be, I think 65 was my last one. I'm going to make this 65. Sorry, I think 60 was my last height here. Or am I? Maybe I think it should be 70. It's my king after all. That one can be 70. Maybe even 80. Excellent. Okay, that's going to be it. I am going to get a line and I'm going to draw up my sketch palette and I'm going to put in a construction line and I'm going to find the center of my rectangle and I'm just going to draw that construction line down. So we're going to actually mirror what we draw. So I only have to draw one side of it because then I can just copy it back to the other side. So if I come back in here, oh, I think I accidentally left my sketch. I'm just going to come back into my sketch and say edit. Cool. Oh, I said finish sketch down there, that's why. Instead of hiding my menu. Okay. Line. Now I'm going to come in and for this shape, you can see on my drawing here that I've got these 2 little cutouts. It's almost like a finger joint. So I'm going to come in and you can zoom in and I'm going to use my grid for this down and I'm just sort of going to make these little cutouts. Cool. And again. And you can see that Fusion sort of helps me. It's quite intuitive. It sort of makes them the same length. Cool. Super trim. I'm going to get rid of that there. I'm going to get rid of that there. I'm going to get rid of this side as well. I don't want it anymore. Cool. Right. Now I'm going to press Escape to deselect trim. I'm going to select my shape. I'm going to press Shift because I don't want that mirror line to be selected. So I've selected all the lines on one side. I'm going to go into my Create menu. I'm going to come down to where it says Mirror, and our little menu box will come up. So I've selected what I'm mirroring, but now I just need to select the mirror line. So I go Select Mirror Line is that first construction line. I can see what's about to happen. It looks good. So I'm going to say OK. And there I have got my symmetrical mirrored shape, which is perfect. I'm going to delete the construction line. I don't want to leave that there. And now I'm going to put in my slot. Super easy. Rectangle, center point rectangle. I'm going to come to the middle. I'm going to draw up. It's 2.85 in width. Tab. This is only going to be 20 high. Oh, not 20, 40. 40 high. Oops. 2.85. Enter. Awesome. And then I'm just going to grab this guy over here. Right click. Copy. Move it over. Oh, I didn't say copy. Silly. Control Z. I'll do that again. I was trying to speed up. There. Right click. Copy. My menu box comes up. Press copy. Scooch it over. Press OK. Zoom in here. I do not want that guy there. Awesome. Take trim. Get rid of it. Okie dokie. Create rectangle, center point rectangle, find the middle. Okay, it is 2.85 tab 40. Enter. Keep trim. Go get rid of all of these lines. I can just draw that little box. Get rid of them all there. Click, 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 click. Awesome. And now that one's there. Now the only thing I think I want to have my arcs up here, so I'm just going to quickly do that. Otherwise, I might not have the right continuity. Oops, Control Z. I might not have the right continuity on my shapes if I didn't have my arcs, because I've done them on all the others. Nice, maybe just little baby ones on here. Okay, cool. Last one's down here. Oh, that one wasn't very good. I'll have to do it again. T for trim, keyboard shortcut, get rid of all of these little lines. I could have done this before I mirrored it, if any of you are thinking that. I absolutely could have and should have, but I didn't, and here we are. So I'm doubling my work essentially, but that's all right. Excellent. Okay. Cool. That is looking good. I like that actually. Alrighty, one more piece to go. You're doing so well. Let me just have a look at what it looks like. Okay, so this is sort of my triangles. Okay, fusion. Same thing. I'm going to start by drawing out my rectangle. I think the queen should be the same height as the king. Okay, so 30 across, tab, 80 high, enter. Alrighty, so now this one I am just going to get, it is from the corner down, yeah, maybe to there, and then out. I could mirror this, however, I'm not going to. I am just going to draw the lines. I think it would take the same amount of time. Pick trim, get rid of that line, get rid of that line, cool. And then I just have to put my slot in, create, rectangle, center of the line. We're going to go 2.85, oops, 2.85 tab 40. Okay, I'm going to trim all of these off. I'm going to come in, I've got to get my construction lines, they've all got to go, that's all gone. Excellent, lovely. Now, I'm pressing escape to turn off trim. I can actually just use this exact piece again. Copy, create copy, drag it over. Okay, awesome. Okay, now I have all 6 of my pieces, of my chess pieces, ready to go. Oh my gosh, I can see I didn't finish trimming this one off. My goodness gracious, I hope you did. Oopsie days, just double check your drawings. That's a very good reminder, just to make sure. Zoom in, have a little inspect of them to make sure they look how you want them to. There's no surprises. Okay, I think that's quite good. All right, awesome. So I'm going to finish that sketch and I can really see my chess pieces that I've designed. You can go in and modify any that you want to, but they're looking pretty good. So I'm going to save my work. First of all, save my work. And then I'm going to come into my browser menu here on the left-hand side. I want you to turn on the sketch and you need to right-hand click Save as a DXF file. We're going to save, and this is how we get it to the laser cutter. I'm going to pop it in my files. Okay, and I'm going to call this, call it your name. File. Save, and there you have it. You've got your file ready for laser cutting. Well done, guys. Super proud of you. I'm really looking forward to seeing your creativity and for you to learn this new manufacturing skill of laser cutting. Good luck.